Hello, my name is Derek Kidhaya from Brickman Properties Limited, and today we're here to speak with our legal advisor. We want her to tell us what are some of the things we should consider or look at before buying a property. How do you know whether property is legitimate? Kama kitu ni original, kama shamba ni genuine. Today we are going to be answering that question. Join me as we speak to Madam Mercy from K Mberia Advocates as she answers the questions that you have. Keep on tweeting your question, keep on sending messages. We are going to answer them. Karibu sana, tupatane mbele. At Brickman Properties Limited, we promise we deliver. And as we promise to have a legal advisor to come and take us through the process of the title, what is an agreement, the importance of a consent. Today we have Madam Mercy here with us, and she will take us through all those processes. All the questions you have, kindly text inbox. We have a number running down the screen, and she will be here to answer your question. Madam Mercy.
Hi.
Habari yako.
Salama sana.
Thank you very much for accepting our invitation. So Madam Mercy, kindly introduce yourself.
Thank you very much, Bwana Derek. My name is K Mberia. I'm an advocate of the High Courts for the last 13 years, and my specialty is in the land law. We call it property law. Yes.
Oh, that's very good. So, Madam Mercy, a lot of clients have been going through the path of buying properties the wrong way, getting properties zenye sio mzuri. So today, kindly take us through. Tell us how should a client avoid being scammed while buying a property?
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yes. Now, as a buyer, when you go and identify a property you want to buy, of course you do a site visit. You are certain where the land is. Then you request for the copy of the title so that you can do their due diligence. If you don't get a copy of the title, of course you're being scammed.
Yeah, true.
That's the first way to know you're being scammed.
Title muhimu.
Title ni muhimu.
Kabisa.
Title ndio shamba. So once you get the copy of the title, then you engage a surveyor. The surveyor is supposed to ascertain whether shamba yenye umeonyeshwa is actually there. Because you can be shown a land, but when you go to check using a surveyor, shamba iko mahali pengine. So it is important that you engage a surveyor to ascertain the location of the property and the size of the property. Whether what is indicated in the title deed as the size is what is actually on the ground. Okay. Of course, after you engage the surveyor and they are certain and they give you their report, that is when now you go to the lawyer. You engage a lawyer, a professional, wakili. And you can also know wakili mwenye ako active ama yuko active. There are lawyers who are practicing without license. You all know that.
Sasa hiyo mimi hata mimi mwenyewe siko anajua.
Sasa umejua. Just go to the LSK website and search the name of the advocate. And you'll know whether the advocate is active or inactive or struck out. Because some have been wamefutwa, wamekansoliwa kabisa from the LSK. They cannot practice at all.
Unajua tu ufikiria lawyer ni lawyer tu.
No. You need to check whether the lawyer is active. So that you now choose a lawyer who is active to represent you in the purchase. And of course the lawyer will engage with the lawyer of the seller. They will do the necessary sale agreements. Once they do the necessary sale agreements, then the payment is done. Then of course the other processes of consent and transfers are done, and you get your title. Yes.
There are those clients who fear, maybe I don't trust a certain company. What is the process? There's a process lawyer to lawyer. How do you call it?
No, what we usually do as lawyers, the moment you engage a lawyer, the lawyer will even do a search of the company.
Oh.
Yes. You'll do the search of the company to ascertain who are the directors of this company. The lawyer you have engaged will even request the copies of the IDs and PIN of the directors of the company. So that you need to do the due diligence of the company you're buying from, so that you can know, as the company has, scams, does it have history? You know that when you do your due diligence and when you engage as a lawyer to do that. Yes.
That's very important.
Yes.
Kindly take us through the title processing. Yeah.
Okay. Once the agreement is signed by the parties, then there is something we call the land control board consent documents, which are supposed to be signed. Now, the land control board consent is required for all the agricultural properties. There's a law we call the Land Control Act, which provides that you need to get the land control board consent for you to sell this property or to transfer this property to the buyer. And most boards are held once in a month.
Once in a month?
Yes, they are held once in a month.
Is there a certain date and money?
No, every board has their own time. There's when they hold, and they usually have a timetable.
A timetable.
They'll have a timetable when their board will be held. So they usually share. If you're interested to know, you'll get a timetable. True. Yes. So once you sign those documents, then it is the responsibility of the seller to make sure they book the land board consent.
Okay.
And now the parties attend the land board consent and they get the board consent.
Okay.
Once they get the land board consent, then that is when the transfer is signed. The transfer is also a standard form, which is also provided by the Land Registration Act, which is also a law providing for such transaction, the land transaction. So they will sign the transfer. A transfer is a document transferring the title from the seller to the purchaser. Okay. Yes, so that the title can move from the seller to the purchaser. So once that document is also signed, then there is an option where all the documents are given to the purchasers, lawyers, for them to do the transfer. But it depends on the terms of the agreement. There are other cases where it is the responsibility of the seller's advocate to do the transfer. So it depends on how are the terms of the sale agreement. Yes.
That's true. Speaking of the sale agreement, what is the importance of having a sale agreement?
A sale agreement is a contract stipulating the terms which have been agreed upon between the seller and the buyer. So we put it in writing now. Whatever you have agreed orally, we put it in writing. This is the plot you have agreed to purchase. This is the amount which you guys have agreed to purchase this plot. This is the deposit payable. This is the timeline within which to pay that deposit. Yes, the payment plan. Is it a cash sale? Is it an installment sale? So that one will be indicated. Where is the payment supposed to be paid? The bank details will be indicated there. If you have an advocate, will indicate this is your advocate, this is our advocate, and also the documents which I'm supposed to get once I finish payments are also indicated in the sale agreement. So it is a contract stipulating the terms agreed upon between the buyer and the seller.
So now the buyer has a copy, and the seller has a copy,
and the lawyer has a copy,
and the lawyer has a copy. Wow, that's
if there are two lawyers, then each lawyer has their own copy also. Yes.
What are some of the importance of having a title deed before as a company before selling a property?
Of course, legitimacy. Because if you're selling a property you don't own, that is even, we call it under criminal law, obtaining by false pretenses. You're obtaining money from the public by pretending that you own the land. You can even be prosecuted for that. So it is very important to ensure that when you're selling, you have the title in your name, so that you can legitimately sell to third parties. And then, of course, after you have the title for the mother title for the whole parcel, it needs to be subdivided so that you can get the resultant titles for the purchasers. Yes,
Now
that's
those are
through the
individual.
process we call now. Once you engage a surveyor as a seller, you'll get a mutation. A mutation will show you what are the demarcations of the land which has been subdivided, what are the resultant titles, and the sizes of those titles.
Oh,
yes.
That's very good. So, some clients have been coming, going to pick titles. Wanachukua title nasema, mimi niko sawa, title peke yake. What are some of the things a client should ask for when collecting that title from a certain company ama mtu binafsi?
Yes. Now, as a buyer, for me, I'll request for, of course, the title. I'll also request for a copy of the transfer. Let me get a copy of the transfer.
The transfer.
Yes. And a copy of the consent of the land board. Yes. That way, I have a document showing how I purchased this property. You see, there is a sale agreement which I'm assuming you have as a buyer.
Yes, sure.
Now you have signed the consent, so you have the copy of the consent yes, obtained from the land board, and you have the transfer which you signed and signed by the other party and registered at the lands offices, and now the title. You see, there is a sequence of how you were able to obtain that title.
Now you have proof.
Yes. In case of any challenge, any dispute, you are able to prove. Yes.
That's very good. What are some of the importance of having a title deeds? That people do, what do you call them? Take loans from the banks and such things. Umuhimu wa hiyo ni gani? Ningependa umeleze mtazamaji.
Of course, there is the title is the most important in Kenya and in the African culture.
Very true.
Owning land is very important, and owning land which has a title is very important because that is an asset. It forms part of an asset which is appreciating daily. Because there is scarcity of land. The land cannot be increased.
Yeah, sure.
You see, so if you own land, then it appreciates in value. You can take this land with that title deed and take a loan from anywhere, any financial institution, whether it's a SACCO, microfinance, a bank, you can take a loan using your title.
Okay.
You can also easily sell that property because people want to buy something which is legitimate, which has a title.
Very true.
So it's very easy for you to sell the land which has a title.
Yeah.
Yes.
Speaking of that, I've seen clients coming to a company, they get 2 plots. Maybe a few, land appreciates every time. Maybe after a few, let's say 2 years, 3 years, the customer sells one piece of land, anatumia pesa kujenga hii ingine na hii ingine. So mipango ni mingi. So your last advice to our viewer?
Now, to all the viewers, my advice to you is when you're buying a property from anyone or from even a company, please make sure you get a copy of the title. Engage a surveyor to ascertain the location and the size of the property. After you engage a surveyor and you get to ascertain the size and the location, engage a professional, a lawyer who is active so that they can do the due diligence for you and they can negotiate the terms of the agreement with the seller or with the seller's advocate. That way you'll be secure and you'll make sure you get a legitimate title instead of buying something which does not have a title. Yes.
So title muhimu.
Title is very important. Yes.
As you have heard from our expert, Madam Mercy from K Mberia Advocates, that buying a land is not just buying. A friend of mine told me, shamba sio kitu rahisi, si kama unajua pale ukienda kwa mkate, nipe mkate leta chukua. That's it. There's a process. Now people, kuna watu wanakuanga na ile haraka ya kupata a certain property. So kuna kuanga na processes. Pole pole ndio mwendo. And that's very good. We are very much happy for you, having us here na kujibu maswali. Tutakuwa tunakuja more and more times. When you get questions, tunakuja consult on our advice.
No problem.
Tunashukuru sana. Thank you very much for your time.
Asante sana.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Kama vile umesikia, shamba ni kitu mzuri, title ni muhimu, agreement ni muhimu, consent is very, very important. Thank you very much for watching us. Just a reminder, we have plots in Joska, we have Matu, we have Juja Farm, selling at a very affordable price. Going to Juja Farm, we have only 550,000 Kenya shillings. When you go to Matu, 199,000 Kenya shillings. Joska, a project touching the proposed bypass. Umesikia hiyo? Touching the proposed bypass. Hivi hapa na pale. I always compare, hiyo project ya Joska na hapa tu Kamakis. Have you seen the way your place may grow? That's how our plot itakuja ku develop. So don't wait to buy and wait. Thank you very much for watching us. I've been your host Derek Mwangi Gedhae from Brick Properties Limited. See you next time. Thank you.